Hopefully, I have. So we'll get feedback there. All right, some correspondence. Public library fund still coming in strong for the state's fiscal year. We are at our second distribution and it's around 70% more than they had anticipated. Which is always nice. I did receive, and I'm going to pass this around because you may or may not have seen it on your own somewhere, but the commissioners are having some special hearings, some special meetings about areas of Brown County, Ohio, prohibiting construction of economically significant wind farms, large wind farms, and large solar facilities. So if you're interested in that topic, you might want to pay attention to the date to the meeting that they're hearing, that they're holding on that.
We also have had people coming to look for those.
For that, have they?
So just know that.
Yay, well, that's good.
Is this a thing?
They do not always give us things directly that are these kinds of public hearings, but this specifically in their resolution actually said that it would be posted in the public libraries. And they,
Well, what I meant,
oh,
this
I'm
is a
sorry.
concern.
Oh,
I mean, you know,
it's a,
We
it's
had
a, yeah.
I'm sorry, we had a trustee meeting in Perry Township after the solar farm went up. I'm down here outside of Mount Work. And I mean, there's never been that many people at a trustee meeting once this came out. And they were just, you know, what can we do? We need to change our zoning so we don't have this. So there's been a lot of people up in arms. The people that are running these are just little LLCs. They put all this stuff in, but a lot of times, I guess this one is still working and they're fine. But the history of what a lot of communities are experiencing is if these companies go bankrupt. And then all this stuff's
Oh, then they-
they have no way to get it. They're not getting their money because they went bankrupt. And then what they do is turn around and become a different LLC and do it somewhere else.
And in those,
And we.
And then all that stuff's there and they can't, yeah, and it's not easy to get rid of, so,
Interesting. Okay, I was not aware of that.
yeah.
And then I recall when this one was going up that there were assurances at some level, you know, that they're gonna hire so many people and locally and other things, but you know, yeah, how can you enforce such stuff? I don't know. So it should be important to people to find out what, you know, is going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We also had been contacted by Ohio Library Council with a question asking about whether we deliver or ship books to homebound or senior patrons in Brown County. So, and I was actually gone at the time for my stepfather's services, but I took looking at him. But Ohio Library Council asked you a direct question, not a group question. You respond, and so I did it, and I just briefly explained that yes, we do this, and we actually, you know, it doesn't have to be for a medical reason. You know, it can be somebody who has a temporary transportation issue. There, you know, we do things with congregate housing as well, and so I just left it at that. And I got a response several days later from LLC again, saying that an individual from Brown County had posted on the governor's Facebook page that they could not receive books at their home from their library. And so she was checking into this. So I don't know how that filters. If they keep tabs on things, or if somebody in the governor's office had said, hey, you know, don't your libraries do this stuff? And so she was checking on that. And I did respond back and said, well, you know, remember too that there are 2 library systems in Brown County, and I don't know, you know, because I couldn't take the time to go and search the governor's Facebook page to try and find a, you know, a comment like this, needle in a haystack. So, you know, I just reminded her and asked her if she had contacted Union Township, because it may be that their policies are different, not for different services.
And they just had the fair, Lynn, so maybe they had a representative of the fair taking questions, and that's probably where that came from, I would think.
Well, I don't know how long ago. I think it was about the 10th of August when I got the initial question. So I mean, I don't know about
Yeah.
that. But I also had mentioned to Ohio, Michelle at Ohio Library Council that, you know, it might be a stretch, but you know, you would be surprised at the number of people from Brown County, Wisconsin, and Brown County, Indiana, and Brown County, Colorado, and Brown County, New York,
Yeah.
you know, who contact us thinking that we are their library system, you know, either chat or go to our website and say they can't find something, and have made that, now, you know, with the governor's Facebook page, not so likely maybe, but I just kind of threw that out there as maybe that's another possibility. So I'm hoping that, you know, she can let us know really what the situation is. So if it is one of our patrons in our library district, we can, you know, contact them maybe and help to educate them about what we can do. So that was interesting. And then just a couple of things in general from Ohio Library Council. You know, they've got some good registration trainings coming up, and we've got some new staff, so that probably will be pretty helpful. And then really exciting possibility that the US Senate has put money in their appropriations bill for federal funding for library buildings. I remember dating myself here back in the late 80s when this was a really big thing. Instead of LSTA money, which is the technology funding, they had LSCA money, which was construction money. And so libraries were getting money for buildings pretty regularly. But that money has not been around for many, many years. So that's kind of neat to see that that might be something. So I'm going to be watching for it. And if they say that, okay, it's time to contact US senators or US congressmen, I'll let you know. So because our buildings, you know, it's time, they're 25 years old and older, right? So it's, we could use some. So it's a lot. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot.
Could I just ask one question, Mark? You living in Mount Orb, they have the solar panels the same that we do, the same company. Because Reagan White was the superintendent at our school when we got those. And then when we went there, he incorporated them down there. Have you ever heard any people griping about that?
No, never.
Now, is this panels on the buildings, the school buildings, or? is this-
No, they're out in the field.
Okay.
They're by the soccer field.
Right.
In between the
And
school.
the answer is no. I heard
Well,
nothing.
we bought land back that we had sold 40 years ago, that we had sold for 15,000, and we bought it back for 73. But we had that paid off in less than a year. My sister-in-law, whose husband was on the board when they sold the land, complained about it. But at that time, her daughter was on the board that helped us get the solar panels. So I just said to her, well, Harry was on the board, then why did you sell the land? And those solar panels are all there. In a year's time, we were able to pay off the land and reduce the what we paid out for electricity. You wouldn't believe some of the wealthy farmers in our community that have claimed that we paid billions of dollars for those. It's pathetic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes hard to find the truth, isn't it?
Look what the zoo did. Their parking lot is covered with solar panels. So you park under, you know, you don't get sun and rain and stuff. And it's supporting most of the, you know, the power supply here. So it's just that it's. The
But you know,
technology
you go
isn't far
down
enough along. for
go
us
down
to
the road in that
longevity of our
farmland, you know, one family, the Holdens, all those panels. And Jay, do you know Jay Holden?
No.
I do. You know Jay. Well, he has a disabled son, autistic son, and the sound that those panels made, the boy was up in the middle of the night running down the road screaming.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But those aren't even operating. Not operating? Here, drive down through there sometime.
Oh.
We just drive down through there once in a while, just, you know, concerned citizens.
Okay.
Just a couple of other things from Ohio Library Council. There is an affordable connectivity program that was started by the FCC. I'm sure there's probably some COVID money in there supporting it, but it is to help families who struggle to pay for internet service. So if you can actually get internet service, but having trouble just with the affordability part, gives you a discount of up to $30 per month toward the service. And also there is a one-time discount for up to $100 to purchase a laptop or desktop computer. And of course, OLC wants us to help roll out that information to our patrons. But if you're interested, you can actually go online by yourself, and it's called affordableconnectivity.gov. And affordable connectivity is one word. .gov. And there's, I have looked, so I don't know what the form looks like, but there's more information there. So. And just as a kind of a side note, that's along the same topic, there also, if you have not seen it, there's a broadband survey that's come out. The Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission is kind of sponsoring it for our area to actually determine what the real internet service availability is in our area. Because it used to be that if you reported that you did get broadband, they counted it by census tract. So if you said you had the whole census tract was labeled as having broadband, which you can be across the street from somebody and they got whatever, right? So this actually is by specific address, and so they really want people in our area to fill this out so they can identify where is the greatest need and throw a lot of that broadband money. Now I know there are two companies, Spectrum, and I forget the name of the other one, that actually received some of those grants to come and build out in Brown County. And I believe that part of the money, that data will help them as well as other money that's coming to us. So,
Just like cable, right? Broadband.
it's high speed. It can be Ethernet, like the libraries have fiber, they're fiber,
Yeah,
Just
but I
that,
mean,
yeah.
it's not through the air.
I think it's more based upon the speed. So it could be through the air and be called broadband, but there are all these other little names. There's a satellite version, but I think it's more about the speed that classifies it. So that's getting into an area that I can throw around some words, but I don't necessarily
You don't have to find them.
using it all the terminology properly. So. And then Dolly Parton, you might have seen, visited the state of Ohio and applauded Ohio for having the highest participation in the imagination by the states. So that's pretty cool that the efforts that have been made at the state level have really helped at the local level. And big shout out to our partners in Brown County who actually are running the foundation that makes that possible to do that distribution. And that's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Sarah, with the financial report, please.
Okey-dokey, starting with the appropriation summary, keep in mind, whenever I talk about payroll this time, this is when all of the new salaries went into effect. So, under library services, under salaries for the month of July was $61,320. That's an increase of about $3,600, so roughly $1,800 per payroll. Employee fringe benefits, $16,037. That's up about $3,300. Purchased and contract services, $12,479. That's down about $11,958. So less was spent in that category. Library materials and information and supplies. Materials were $31,449. Supplies $2,598. That was up about $18,000. So Total month-to-date expenditures, $253,192. We paid a lot out of the Georgetown renovation. So that's, if you just look right above it, $106,000 was paid out for Georgetown reno, which is why that number is higher than normal. Bank reconciliation.
And a lot of that was that Belfour
Yes.
invoice that had been waiting for so long, and they
Yes.
finally.
L4 and library design, yes, yeah. Receipts for the month of July, $381,189. PLF was 93,000. We received the second half property tax for $235,706. Third quarter law library lease payment for $5,360. And then a claims payment for $43,472. So that's why that number is much bigger than normal. Payments for the month of July, $257,059.94. We have some adjustments, $3,825. Those were E-rate reimbursements. Outstanding checks for the month of July, I believe I have 2 employees that haven't cashed mileage reimbursements. So Britt and Hannah Taylor, are still outstanding. All other checks have been cleared. I don't know why employees like to give them the checks. Can't figure that out.
Because those different things electronically. You have
Then
to
take a
think
picture.
about- Yeah, take a picture of the check, you know?
Just take a picture. Cash flow summary, some of these numbers I've already talked about. So beginning cash balance for the general fund, $929,394. Like I said, TLF was $93,083. Property tax, we received $235,000. Services provided from other entities, $6,890. Other receipts, $1,535, bringing in $337,215. Our expenditures out of the general fund totaled $123,884. Bringing our cash balance in over $1 million.
So I'm just gonna take this moment to remind people that we've talked about, that advanced outline.
Yes.
Where we put money into the Georgetown, fund and also point out the general fund spendable balance at the end of the year, which still is nearly $400,000 after
Yes.
we do our minimum fund.
Yes.
And as things are looking right now, I really think we're gonna have to recommend changing that advance out to a transfer and not putting it back, because the expenditures to Georgetown, especially now we're having to do the foundation, are
Getting thin.
we definitely don't have enough money to put back in right now. We can't advance it back into the general fund. Auditor does not like carrying an advance into our next fiscal year.
Yes.
So I just want you to be thinking about that, you know, there's no guarantee that we're gonna have enough money to cover all of those expenses.
What did we borrow already? What was that number? 55,000.
Yeah.
So that definitely has to go back. Yeah. Cash summary by fund, expenditures for the month of July, $253,192. Let's see, July 2022 expenditures. This is just kind of a breakdown. Payments, $179,036. Payroll, so you can see that it's gone up about $1,800. $31,485 for that July 15th. $30,500.29 for that July 29th payroll. Retirement, $8,673. Medicare, $867.50. Insurance board paid $4,385. My local taxes, employee health was $1,090.80, bringing my total July expenditures to $253,192.95. Payment listings, like we pointed out, we had some big checks to labor design. We paid $73,251 to, and then that Belfour was $35,108. Have you seen anything else from Belcourt? Good.
Well, they had said even when the insurance had made their agreement for the agreed upon amount and had sent us confirmation, we kept getting statements regularly from Belcourt, the 70 whatever thousand.
Over 70, yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna pay it from that and have you turn around, pay the 35, and then you turn around and tell us, oh, you only paid 35, you still owe,
That's what I was waiting for.
billing departments sometimes are, they don't, yeah,
They don't
so,
talk to each other.
yeah, so we'll see if that still happens.
So fund summary report, like I've mentioned several times, our monthly date expenditures, $253,192. Our bank balance is at $1.4 million. Open POs, I have $184,378 in open POs. So you can kind of see how that's throughout the funds. So 57,418 for Georgetown Reno and open POs, 83,000 in general. And then what's that big one? Tech, 29,302.
And that's for server replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so you can
supported.
see right now, our Georgetown Renovation Fund actually has negative balance, and that's why I say we really are
Yeah.
gonna have to consider that. We don't have to do anything so close to the end, and maybe pennies will happen.
I think we talked about revisiting like in October when we kind of see if we get more claims money and things. So any questions about the financials?
I just thought I would point out that with the PLF coming in as strong as it did, and the whole revenue side of things, I was looking at the fact that we've gotten our second tax payments. And we are just $1,500 shy of what we had anticipated. Not that we're gonna get any
Yeah.
small, we may,
Yeah.
doubtful
We got to mobile home, whatever, that's
something.
not very much, but we just got that.
But when you look at that, how the, PLF has come in over and above, I mean, right now, between now and the end of the year, and I'm looking at not these numbers here because we actually have gotten the August check. So when you consider the August check, we need less than $140,000 through the rest of the year to meet what we said we needed to have. And that's only averaging $35,000 a month. And if you think back, we've been getting way more than that every month. So I see no problem with us more than meeting our revenue, even though, it's not exactly as we had planned, and probably even if things stay pretty stable, we'll probably have 50,000 more from PLF than we anticipated. So be very helpful. It'd be very helpful.
Okay, we need a motion.
I move we accept the financial report.
I second.
Mark,
Yes,
Barb,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
we need a motion to approve revenue and appropriation adjustments as presented.
So that I threw that in because in my not being here the whole time, I thought we might need to do something now, but we're gonna wait. So that one we can just,
Okay,
That one out.
okay.
rather than doing it 7 times and having the auditor not so happy that she has to sit her every time, we'll wait till closer to the end of the.
I've just started a list of things to do to amend.
And then we have a report on the Star Ohio investments.
Well, I thought you were going to look into some things about what was. Okay, if not, that was just something I had from my notes from last month and talked about. And what,
Every
that
is on the agenda. I never even saw it.
Get a table up.
That's all right.
Yeah, it was insane. And I really just forgot, how much.
It must be pretty stable because every year
And I.
is it sorrow.
I didn't see that one.
Well, we will table for next.
Well, why do I make this a chat now? Well, but as we look at that, what's the report that shows the balances of the different banks? It's the-
Under,
it's the bank balance.
yeah,
Yeah.
bank reconciliation.
You know, because I was looking at that going, yeah, you know, we've got over $1 million in that, in our primary, you know, account, and we've got 327,000 in Star Ohio. So I think that's one of the things that we need to think about. Is there a balance that we want to, you know, eventually move over? But, you know, I don't know the hows, you know, if somebody out there in Star Ohio land can, you know, give Sarah some recommendations about what that ratio might be. And she would know how much we actually need for cash flow to have, you know, liquidity when we need it in the primary account. But that's,
Sorry about that.
no worries.
That's okay. We'll move on to the next item, which is the executive
Oh,
director's.
she didn't even want to talk. She wanted me to talk. But that's okay.
I typed out the whole minutes and went right over that.
All right, building reports and statistics.
So I think that Amber's gonna be on the spot, because I did text the other ladies, because I know they like to zoom in if they can, but we also did a whole lot earlier than.
Heather just texted me just now, as I was checking. She said she doesn't have a link. It's not with the correspondence email.
Oh, yeah, well, all right. Okay, well, I can maybe send something. This is my 1009 emails that I've got in my inbox. I sent one to whom? I sent one to Tracy earlier, right?
Yeah, she's on.
Yes, so I'm just gonna forward that one to. And-
I'll let her know it's coming.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Left, there it is. Okay. Well, actually, before we get to the building reports, I also have tucked a copy of the fact that the Budget Commission sent us back a certification. Of course, we have to send out our budget every July, before the middle of July. And I have to assume that they met and approved budget requests, because we got that defined notice. So there was no meeting where library representatives were present to argue any cases, and we at least have a target for doing budgeting or spending plan for them at the end of the year. All right. Sorry, Heather, I forgot to send you a link.
That's okay.
And you're gonna, Tanya, sorry, Tanya, I forgot to, well, maybe she had a link, unless she got it that quickly. So, thank goodness for you. So, you know, as you see, summer reading program was the thing in July. And, you know, I think probably managers can best talk about the impact that it had, or what they saw that may have been unique or special. Or if they don't want to talk about summer reading program anymore because we're past it and we're now into school season, it's totally up to you.
Whatever you guys, if you want to know information, I can say that. I don't know what the number was for starting offhand. I don't say, well, we had over 200 participants. So it was great. That's pre-COVID numbers. So that's really good to see that. Yeah.
Almost like things have returned to normal, even though we don't like to use the word normal.
I mean,
Right.
I don't like
It's extra, you know, it feels
it does
beyond.
seem to be beyond.
Good.
So maybe it was a bounce back that we weren't really anticipating.
Maybe that's a good temperature, how people are maybe feeling better about the future than, you know, because there's been so much negativity, and it really has affected, COVID has really affected so much planning and doing things.
True.
What about Heather or Tanya? Anything that you have to add to whatever else is going on, or do any of the board members have any questions about anything that they saw? in the report?
I will say that the High Seas Adventure Night that we had, which was our final family night program, Millicron helped us with that. They sponsored that program and they had 3 volunteers that night. And they were so impressed. They said they had no idea that we do this much and have that much involvement with the community. So they said they would really like to partner with us again. So hopefully this is just the beginning of a good partnership.
Yay, Heather.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't see Tanya unmuting, so if she doesn't have anything to add, we can go on to statistics.
I don't have anything to add other than what I put in the stats this month. We were just really happy with the turnout because I was a little worried with the downstairs being closed. But we did have a higher registration number than we did last year, even though the downstairs is still not operational. So we were very pleased with the numbers and with the programs that we had, and just everything did work out pretty smoothly. So we were just grateful for that.
Terrific. Statistics for July. So obviously the summer reading program numbers are reflected in those statistics. I will say that at least for this year and possibly for, any number of years, the number of materials downloaded through that Overdrive app with ebooks, the e-audiobooks, it's exceeded 3,000 for the month of July, and it has not done that the whole rest of 2022. And I do not recall seeing that from prior years either. So that would be a new high that we hit in digital downloads. And just a couple of other little notes that I have. So down about 2/3, 3/4 of the page are the collection statistics where we catalog and ads. And Tanya can correct me if I am wrong on this, but while typically during the summer there is no time for reading, I mean, that just doesn't happen as summer reading program is going on, or it happens very little, or spot if something absolutely has to be done. Georgetown has been working very hard as they're cleaning up the meeting room of all boxed up materials, and they've got some shelves downstairs now, and they are reading as they go and putting things back on. So they've been really diligent about that, and that's why you see that drastic difference between Georgetown and the rest of the buildings at this time. So because they're juggling both, trying to have the programs and even clear out that meeting room. And then the patron accounts, the next section underneath, does include the annual purge of accounts that SEO does. And I think I have a note, it was pretty consistent. The ratio was pretty consistent with the circulation ratio of the buildings. That was fairly consistent, but I think it's important to remember that the use or an active card does include things like using Overdrive and other things that require the patron account on it. So it doesn't dismiss it just because somebody might not come in and check a book off the shelf. So that's good to know. And then what else? And then the only thing that I need to go back, and we'll have to add this to the list, is that if you're looking at the days open, that very last line, remember that Georgetown and Fayetteville have been closed on Saturdays. So it's very so that accounts for that difference. So I hope to see in the next couple of months our Chromebook and hotspot numbers going up, even though they don't have their own separate lines in the summary sheet. I do see those individual numbers, and because of the migration going through the hotspots, that circulation's been down a bit, and I suspect once school really gets up and going and there's more of a apps, so the Chromebooks will see those numbers. That's just what we're looking forward.
Thank you, Lynn. Any questions for Lynn? No? Then I think we can move on to announcements.
All right, so announcements. All right, so we did just get for that first list on the list for the facilities, we did just get an updated quote. I'm sure you're aware that prices of supplies for construction, I mean, the numbers are going up and down and all over the place. And so, this is one of those where you can give us a number, but if we don't say yes within 2 weeks, that number might change. So we just got a number and it's roughly going to cost us about $1,300 per branch to have this work done. But it's really necessary because in some of the buildings, the newer ones, where because of the architecture, there's some places where birds can get in.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to do some cleaning and I think it also includes filters, some extra filters and actually netting and some other things that will keep critters out. So it's a small price to pay really for something that, will really impact our air quality and probably the longevity of our HVAC systems as well. So got to be done. The community engagement report, in some ways, it's really helpful to have a number of our partners kind of go on summer hiatus. So lots of times due to, school and educational kinds of calendars, because that's when we're really busy and it's harder to fit in more meetings. So if you see a trend there, that's been the case with a number of our partners, although we're starting to see more meetings come back on the schedules now. I don't know, Amber, since you're here, if there's anything about any of the ones that, even if it's happened since this report came in, if there's anything you want to say about any of the ones you're involved in.
I don't know how familiar you are with the Adams Brown safety net. Probably not too familiar. It's fairly new. I mean, it's been around for more than a year, but they just became live on the website and are developing, their plans and things like that. And they've been on a big hiatus, but are just now getting back into meeting. And we support them by being able to share information and help people find the Adams Brown County Safety Net. If you are not familiar with safety nets in general, you can always go to the Claremont County Safety Net, and it's been around for quite some time, and their website can give you a very good idea as to what it is. But basically, we would have this one-stop shop for organizations in the community. For us, it's in our county and Adams County, that can get on and post needs amongst, partner organizations, whether it's like a crisis need or just a long-term like chronic need for people and different organizations, and it's a way to help connect the dots so that if there is someone that somebody in our organization has heard is without a home, their house burned down or something like that, and they know to connect them to this church that has food pantry and this church that does this and whatever, and they can log into this portal and post needs. So we are part of that. I suspect that you will see us support them in a more less active need filling, because our job is to educate, inform, and entertain. So we don't typically feed people, although sometimes we do. But that's one. So that's one that you'll see. And then the other one that I attend is the Drug Coalition. And they are recently involved in a healing community study, a very big study through, I guess, OSU. And that study is to reduce opioid deaths by 40% in Brown County. It's a very specific goal for that study. And again, with that, we are supportive. We're not playing an active role in a subcommittee of that study because it seems to be more for providers and that type of partner in that group. So I attend the meetings just so that they know that we're willing to support, get information out to people when they need services and that kind of thing. But that's really, and we meet monthly with them. So that's really all there is on that. But
Okay, thank you, Amber.
One item that I'd like to, that kind of happened after I typed this all up was, I'm sure you may have heard of the governor announcing the commitment of $500 million to the Appalachian counties in Ohio. It's called Ohio Builds Small Communities Big Impact to Plan for Appalachia. So it just now is kind of rolling out. You know how all the COVID money came out and, oh, here's all this money and you can, no, we don't have any guidelines for you to use it. Oh, no, we don't have any rules, but you have to spend it within 6 months. I mean, I'm almost feeling like this is kind of that thing in that they're talking, there's a lot of talk about it now and a lot of meetings and, oh, what can we do? But not a lot of guidance yet. But I met with other directors from libraries in those Appalachian counties. We had a Zoom meeting the other day, and we were told that there's a consultant who has been hired to help, because they don't want really one-offs. They don't want you to be just, I need this from my library or whoever else is eligible for the money. They want to see regional impact. So a consultant has been hired by Ohio Library Council to help guide us in figuring out, are there things that either we can do with our neighbor counties or something that can be applied for on behalf of all of the libraries, like, I don't know, subsidy for public transportation to your libraries because transportation is an issue, so there's, why apply for it if it's going to get knocked down right away? So this is really to help us all. But what it looks like so far is that the three prongs are: they want it sustainable, they want it transformational, and they want this regional broad approach. But within that, you can pretty much do whatever. And libraries are used to being given these really weird shaped little holes that you have to make your grant application fit into exactly. And so this is kind of odd for all going, yeah, that's right. It's not just a square that you have to fit, it's some, it's a dodecahedron or something where you have to make everything fit, perfectly. But I also have had opportunity to talk with Kelly Cole, who's the Brown County Economic Development Director, because we were told that, while that person is not going to make any decisions, they might have some influence because the deciding committee is going to talk to these people at the county level and say, well, who in your county is doing things and can't you get them all to work together, kind of thing. So I've already tapped her and she's given me a name for the OVRDC, the Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission's consultant who wants to talk to anybody in this area who's interested. So I've got another name. And I recommended or just threw out to both the library group and to Sarah Beef, who is the Brown County administrator now. She was, I don't know, she was an executive assistant to commissioners, she now holds a more active role, I guess. She has some more authority, and she's going to a meeting sometime this week. And I said to her, shared workspace is a huge issue here. I wouldn't have a problem if somebody, looked and saw that we had some space, some land available at any of our library buildings and, could actually build an addition that would house some shared workspace, and because we've got internet, all those kinds of things, and the light bulbs were kind of going on with, oh, libraries can be involved. Now, I don't know that that's what we would do, but I also talked about public transportation vouchers because the county is going to be getting a public transportation system. So I'm hoping that maybe that would be a way that we could go, and it could be something we could possibly, I know Adams County is interested. I know that Grit is working on something, and Heather, you may have more details about that. But I also said to the library group, I know that Grit, has been having these conversations as well, and I don't want to see us working at cross purposes to one another. You know, Rick's gonna apply for something that could be, you know, we could fulfill. We don't want to go out on our own, and the OLC consultant knows about Grit, apparently participates in some of it. And so he said he was fully aware, and, you know, that would not become a problem. So Heather, I don't know if you can add to it since your Grit group talked about it.
They do a lot of talking, but just like I think all the groups do, I guess. But I mean, there is action. There's action. They were definitely action. I know that they've looked at a couple spots in Brown County and Mount Orb for remote work centers. And I know that there is a remote work center that they put in Adams County and West Union. It doesn't hold very many. I think there's like maybe enough for 4 spots, and there's like a meeting roomish kind of space. But I mean, that's really, but I mean, it would be great if we can team up on that. I think we brought that up to them a few times too, of, oh, look at, we have internet access already.
Yes, we do.
Some of this money and expand. It'd be a great partnership.
The OLC consultant did say infrastructure investment is one of the things that they will fund, you know, so if we could say, oh, you know, Arthur County, they all want to do this with their library, so just, you know, put some money, but you know, who knows? The only thing that I heard was that they want to be able to make the awards and, you know, and disperse the money by the end of 2024, which is a year and some months away, and it has to be spent by the end of 2026. So I guess on the positive side, that's a whole lot longer than we had to spend any other, you know, of that kind of COVID money. But that we know that November is an election, and I suspect that some of the money they may want to make some pronouncements by then, you know, just because of the political impact it might have. So I don't know if this is one of those things where they're going to say, here's the guidelines and the application, and you are going to get 2 weeks to turn in an application. I mean, that happens sometimes. So we will see. It would be nice, but if it's not feasible, but some of that money, I think they said about 10% of that 500 million actually can be planning grants. So even if we could get in and do a planning grant, that would, you know, buy some time, and we wouldn't have to start, you know, digging and all of that right away. So that's, I am sure you will be hearing more about that in the coming months. Done.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, so we move on to committee reports. Are there any? No. Okay, thank you. Next, a motion to approve resumption of Saturday hours at Georgetown Fayetteville effective October 8th, 2022. We need a motion.
I move. Second. Of course, I don't know what hours we're gonna hang up, but
Same hours, the thought, when we said we would readdress this after summer, you know, reading program was over, and as the manager and I talked, it doesn't make sense to really do it until after fair, you know?
yeah,
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Sue, yes, Kathleen.
Yes.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the law library contracts effective 1/1/23 to 12/31 of 23. With the Brown County Law Library Resource Board for provisions of law library services in the annual contract of $22,152. And with the Brown County Commissioners for lease of space for the law library in the annual amount of $6,300, both of which we have copies.
So these are essentially the exact same documents you have seen every year with the dates changed. This time there's a little bit of change in the money as well, not a lot. I mean, the law library board is not rolling in dough, and you know, we're not here to
Right. Make
take advantage of that. But we also need to look at our costs of doing the work that we perform for them. And of course, our costs have increased in terms of, you know, electric and all the things it takes to actually have space. But also in the staffing as well, because labor costs have risen. So it's just a small increase. The lease actually is up 2.9%, and the service portion is up 3.3%. But the lease the cost has not increased since 2019. So that's been a long time without asking them for additional money. And the service contract actually went down by 1% from 2020 to 2021. And part of that was everybody's closed and, you know, it was the appropriate thing to do at that time, but things have changed now. And so this was going to be addressed at the law library board meeting yesterday, but they did not have a quorum for their meeting, so they did not approve it. But that doesn't mean that you can't say that in theory, this is fine with you, and then when it's taken back to the law library, they can know that our board has approved of it. But I don't see any point in actually signing anything until we know if they're okay with the actual numbers.
So we need a motion.
I'll move that we approve both.
Second.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Tanya, since you are the coordinator, was there anything that you wanted to add to all of that conversation about law library lease?
No, I think you covered everything.
Great. We now need to have a discussion about the mileage reimbursement policy.
So that was one of those things, and honestly, I don't remember which month we passed the increase, and the board approved the policy. Now it's whatever the federal rate is, but we did say we would come back and look at it. You know, have gas prices really changed that much in the last couple of months? Can't, you know, they gone down a little bit? Yeah, maybe they have gone down a little bit. I'm not sure what's, you know, again, there's an election coming up. Politics going to maybe go back up toward the end of the year. You know, I'm no victor of any of these things, but I think you might want to consider discussing this again after the first of the year. You know, maybe in February after,
I don't,
you know,
I don't
after
see
holidays,
any reason to
after.
raise it more or to lower it at this point.
Right,
so.
and
And I just heard something on the news about we're trending in a good direction. It's dropped 60 days in a row, but you know, it could go back up. You know, I think we should probably
I
sit
don't
tight.
understand why it went down, so I
Well,
don't trust it.
Well, they were, if
Yeah,
nothing
they were
crazy
crazy.
happens, if nothing crazy happens, we could be under $3 a gallon again. If nothing
That'd be
crazy
nice.
happens like a hurricane.
Is diesel gonna come down? Because that's what's gonna impact us.
They didn't say anything about the.
Yeah, because that's all your shipping,
Oh, yeah.
everything's
Yeah.
diesel, the farmers, you know, so all the farming prices are gonna go up. That's what's killing it.
Yeah.
Or will in the future.
But nothing.
Huh?
food truck.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, a lot of those are on gas.
Ice cream,
Yeah, whatever. But I mean, when you look at diesel prices and you think of the impact to our agriculture and to our shipping, just those alone.
So we'll table this for 1/1/23. All right, I didn't see anything on executive session.
I did not send a separate sheet because I didn't have anything firm at that time. So, but I have 4 items that I would. Sorry, are you saying sorry? No,
I'm
no.
saying I get a sheet. So.
Yeah.
All right, so we need a motion to move into executive session.
Okay, I make a motion to move into executive session. I'll second that.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes. So Tanya, Heather, anything that you'd like to say, Amber, before we actually start dealing with the business? Yeah.
Congrats on an early ending meeting.
Yeah.
I love those slides.
I told my husband, when I left, it's gonna be a long meeting.
That's spongy side.
I'm spongy side.
So-
Oh,
so-
spongy side.
There's a guy that I work with, he's in Queens, New York, he has 30 hair. Different colors,
I got a
shades.
couple, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like shoes, but
Oh, yeah.
glass, like Elton John.
Yeah.
Where wild was.
I have you, I switched them up.
Oh, yeah.
I treat them like sword.
It's fun.
Thank you.
So Tanya, I saw you unmute briefly. Was there something?
Yes, I just wanted to give you a quick update. Keith has ordered a couple weeks ago, ordered the materials to do the foundation work, but they are not in yet. So as soon as they come in, he will get started on that. I did touch base with him yesterday. I have tried to contact Rumpke, and so I could get them on the books and get scheduled when they are going to get back in there, but I have not heard back from them yet. So I'm going to try again tomorrow. So I just want to give you a quick update on that we are moving forward. It's just very slow, but we are seeing a little bit of progress.
Thank you so much for your perseverance, Tanya. I really appreciate that.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Tanya.
Yes, almost a year.
Yeah, it's very close.
Very close to a year. Wow.
How about you, Heather? Anything?
Nope.